Hey there. Thank you for joining me today for this quick webinar, 20, 30 minutes on marketing strategy for booth-based events. Quick order of events, we're going to do a quick intro, summary of topics, current state of marketing, branding 101, marketing channels, how to structure your marketing strategy, executing that marketing strategy, and then a quick little plug for Fusion at the end. So to get things started, my name is Jake Sperley. I'm one of the founders at Fusion. I actually come from an event organizer's background. I was an event organizer, mainly focused in marketing and booth sales for a county fair. While I was there, I was able to increase ticket sales and attendance by 38%, increase consumer spending by 30%, and actually increase the number of booths sold and the booth-based revenue by 110%. My biggest and most proud point of all of that is that I was able to increase all those numbers while spending less than the standard budget and what was normally spent in previous years. So I did more with less. And that's why I'm here to talk to you today about what you can do about your marketing strategy for your booth-based event with less and actually get more out of it by just being a little bit more creative. With that, what is the current state of marketing? So I would say the current state of marketing is really all over the board, right? We have some folks that do no marketing. I know so many events that do absolutely zero marketing. And in my brain, I'm like, wow, can you imagine what your attendance or ticket sales would be like if you actually tried? Like just one social media ad. Could you imagine? It blows my mind. And there's other events, right, that are doing a lot of paid social ads. There's some events that just rely heavily on email marketing or paid search. So I'd say the current state of marketing for booth-based events is all over the board. And I would say a majority of it, I would say over 50% does zero marketing. I know that sounds shocking, but I would say about 0% does, or about 50% does zero marketing. And I also forgot to throw in there, there's also people that just do posters and flyers. That's it. They poster, if it's a localized event in a localized city and their target customers are in that localized area, they're postering and flyering every single business around town. That's what they do. And it works for some folks. So I'd say current state, we're all over the board. There isn't one thing that works better than the other. And that's a difficult thing about marketing and strategy, but that's kind of what I'm trying to help you with today. And my goal by the end of this webinar is for you to have a clear understanding of what might be the best marketing strategy for your booth-based event. So you can go execute on it and make more money or increase attendance or do whatever your key performance indicator is in that number, that needle mover that you want to do. So let's talk about branding 101. We can't really get into marketing strategy for our booth-based events unless we have the branding down first, right? It's kind of like laying the foundation so that we can build up and vertically from there. So what is branding? I think the biggest mistake I see is inconsistent branding. So when you go to try and do your marketing, it doesn't work as well because the branding isn't on point. So it starts off with like a good, clean logo. There's so many logos out there that if they just spent, you can go to Fiverr, Fiverr, and for like $50, even less, if you want to pay a little bit more, I'm sure you can find something that's more expensive, and get a nice, clean logo. It can be your same logo that you have now. Just get it refreshed so it looks a little more modern, a little more clean. They'll give you all the different file types, right? You're going to want your logo in a color format, black and white, different variations, different sizes, PNG, JPEG, SVG, all the different stuff. And then you want a clean color palette as well. For Fusion, our colors are basically white, orange, and a blue. That's it. So everything we do is either in white, orange, or blue. So that when our customers see any of our promotional material, it's very easy. Oh, yep, that's Fusion. I just know by looking at their colors, that's what it is. And your event needs that exact same thing. A lot of event organizers think, oh, I have an annual event. I don't need, branding. I don't need, to have a nice brand out there. And that's the biggest lie I've ever heard probably in the event industry because it's so far from the truth. The Super Bowl only happens once a year. Does the Super Bowl have a brand? Yes, it does. We know what the Super Bowl looks like. We know what the trophy looks like. We know what their logo looks like. We just know. That's an event that only happens once a year. Sure, the Super Bowl is a lot bigger than probably most of the events that, we run, but the concept and the value is still the same. So get your branding figured out. I would say step one, get your logo cleaned up with your long form logo, and then your little icon, like our icon is a little flag. So get both of those dialed in and make sure you're really confident with it. The next step is to get your colors figured out. Don't the text and like the fonts, minuscule minor details. Just really get your logo and the colors figured out. From there, everything you produce should be that. It should be in those colors and with your new clean logos. Everything. If you're doing print media, social media ads, banners, flyers, everything has to be that branding. Because the idea is, without even reading anything, I should be able to know what company this whatever is associated with. That's the point of great branding, is having that consistent colors. Talk about marketing channels. There's a bunch of different marketing channels out there. You have email marketing, you have social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. The list goes on and on. We have, print media, which print is not dead. Let me say that right now. Print is not dead. Print media, flyers, banners, postcards, that sort of stuff. Then you really have email marketing and then partnerships. Partnerships being leveraging your existing exhibitors, sponsors, different event partners, maybe your venue. Those are all partners that you can leverage. So going into the different channels and what channels are better for other events, right? This webinar is strictly for marketing strategy for booth-based events. So let's say you are a B2B industry trade show. I would argue your best marketing channels for the social media channel would probably be Facebook and LinkedIn. I say that because Facebook gives you great ability to niche down into people that are interested in your industry or that have job roles in your industry, and it has the largest reach, and usually it has the lowest cost associated with reaching those people. And then LinkedIn, obviously, because it's a B2B sector, we're probably targeting professional buyers or people in the industry that probably have a LinkedIn account already. And LinkedIn does a great job of being able to post ads to that specific, industry niche, if you will. If you wanted to expand out into other forms of advertising for kind of that B2B industry specific sector, you could also run some Google ads. So keywords being, let's say you were a renewable energy expo. The keyword renewable energy expo would be a great keyword to advertise with Google on. So folks looking for renewable energy expo could search renewable energy expo and bam, you're the first one up. As far as your maybe print media advertising, you could play around with that a little bit because it's an industry-wide show, and I'm going to assume your attendees are coming from probably all over the continent. That strategy might not work as well because they're really spread out, right? But something you could do in the paid sector or in the print sector is to pull a list, Zoom info, wherever you want, pull a list of all the different companies from that sector, create a simple 8.5 by 11 flyer on, whatever cardstock paper you want. It doesn't have to be super fancy, super thick, and make it very simple. Like your branding, your colors on the back, and you're invited to Renewable Energy Expo. And then put like your logo, when it is, and where they can register. That's it. You're invited to XYZ event with your logo, where it's at, when it is, and how to get tickets. That's it. Like 3 things. It should take them 10 seconds to read the whole thing and mail it out. Print is not dead. And when people say, oh, I'm invited to this, wow, it makes me feel special, right? So that's an idea. Let's say another use case, because I'm trying to cover big use case topics here so that you can go out and be effective with your marketing strategy for your booth-based event. Let's say you're a B2C event in a localized city. So let's say you were a sportsman's show in Austin, Texas. So with that one, we kind of have a nice advantage because it's a localized show. We probably don't have folks coming in from all over the continent to attend that show. So I would go with probably Facebook and Instagram ads targeted towards people that enjoy the outdoors, hunting, fishing, boating, hiking, that sort of stuff, in that localized area of between 30 and 50 miles. With that, I would also run print advertising, and I would figure out where do the people that I want to attend my show, where are they hanging out in that local area around my event within, let's say, 30 miles. I would say if you're a sportsman's show, they're probably going to hang out at different camping trails. So you could laminate and, poster and flyer a bunch of flyers at different camping trails. I would say the sportsman type businesses, like where you get hunting gear, like maybe your campers, RVs, I would try and partner with them to get your flyers and posters up in there. Maybe they want to be a sponsor of your event as well. And lastly, really leveraging those localized partners. You're probably going to have 100 or whatever different exhibitors attending your event. Every single one of those exhibitors or sponsors, we call a stakeholder. They have a stake in the event, like they're vested in the event. Each one of them has their own audience that you can leverage. Think about if REI was attending your event, right? I would say if I looked up REI on social media, I bet they would have over 100,000, probably way more, people engaged in their community. Can you imagine if you can just leverage their community? Like, it's not how, it's who, right? Somebody wrote a book about that. So who can get you to the target audience that you want to reach the quickest? Your stakeholders. They already have a built-in audience. Hey, REI, you're sponsoring our event. Would you mind just posting a social media blast or sending an email saying, hey, if you're in the Austin area, come and check us out at XYZ booth. Bam, there you go. Leverage those stakeholders, especially for localized events. In the last kind of genre I'll talk about today with this use case, so we don't run way out of our time, is the fair, localized festival event style. With those, you don't really have a specific niche of people. It's not like a sportsman's show where it's, people that are in the active community. It's not a B2B show where you have one kind of industry standard. You have a bunch of different people with a bunch of different interests. So with those, I call it the 3-pillar marketing strategy. And with that, I wrote a blog on it. You'll have to look back at getfusionsolutions.com and look in our blog for that marketing strategy. But what you basically do is pick 3 groups that you want to put people in. So let's say for a fair, and this comes from a real world example, I actually did this and it worked great. Pick 3 different groups. So in that, I did 3 different interests, I guess you could say. So 1, the fair I worked at had a rodeo. I'd say rodeo, that was a big draw. 2 was carnival. And 3 was the fair food. Those are kind of like the 3 big things of why people came to that fair. Your event could be whatever the big 3 pillars of interest are. From those 3 pillars of interest, figure out what are the kind of demographics, like my ideal customer for each one of those interest pillars. So for a carnival, let's say, it's probably going to be somebody between the age of, 10 and let's say 21, maybe 24 if you really want to push it. From there, where do they live? They're probably going to live within 20 or 30 miles of the event location. Boy or girl, probably doesn't matter. For the rodeo, 20, 30 miles, boys and girls, doesn't really matter. I would say probably between the age of 21 and 40. If you want to venture a little further, maybe go 45 to 50. From there, you're going to have 3 different interests. Then you're going to have 3 different groups of people. They're just going to create 3 to 6 different ads, just random graphics, I shouldn't say random, that are targeted to that specific customer. So for the rodeo, you're going to create a graphic. Maybe it's like a bucking bull and it's like, come on out to the whatever fair. And that's what you're going to do. And you're going to run that content graphic to that specific customer profile that you just created. And that's what you're going to do. And you're going to want a couple different variations of graphics for each customer profile, but that's really the baseline. You just got to break that event up into, different specific categories, because just throwing a big wide net out is how you just get lost in the noise. But when you break it down, right, the riches are in the niches, and that's what you got to do. Quick water break, because my throat is getting dry. I'm talking too much. So kind of marketing channels, I kind of went into structure as well. So for social media, that's how I would do it. That's the structure I would use. If you're doing print media, gotta be really, really specific. I think banners are kind of a thing of the past when we're talking about booth-based events. Unless you have like a extremely busy like thoroughfare highway or something where you can put one banner like on above the road or on each side that people can see, just do that maybe. As far as print media, that's not dead. Especially for localized events, put posters up in every single business you possibly can. Put in their front windows, put it on the checkout counter, put it on the restaurant tables, like absolutely everywhere. Because those localized events are how people get there. And it's one of the cheapest forms of advertising is print media. You can print up a poster for 25 cents, 10 cents, Even if you just sold one ticket for every poster, your return on that investment is astronomical compared to what you might be spending on social media or dreaded, please don't use radio. I don't want to offend, radio store or radio channel owners, but specifically for events, it's very, very difficult. I don't want to say it's dead, but there's just better marketing channels and strategies to do it. As far as the structure for leveraging your partners and your different stakeholders, like sponsors, exhibitors, vendors, stuff like that, that's really just going to be doing it yourself and providing them the content, right? So say, hey, sponsor, or hey, vendor, exhibitor, thank you so much for coming to our event. Here's a Facebook and Instagram post that we would like you to post on XYZ date, XYZ time, and here's the wording to put on there. Thank you so much, right? Vendors or exhibitors, sponsors, they're running their own business, right? So you have to give all that just to them. Say, give them the graphic, give them exactly what to say, when to post it, how to structure it, just give it all to them. So they can be like, oh, it's then a task, right? I already have all the stuff. They just have to get it scheduled up to post. Done. Easy peasy. And maybe for each graphic, maybe you co-brand it, right? Like with their logo and your event's logo, right? It doesn't need to be too complicated, too tricky. Don't ask too much from your sponsors, exhibitors, and stakeholders, but do something, right? Because they have audiences that are probably way larger than your one singular event audience is. Go out and leverage them, right? If nothing else, that stakeholder is just going to tell you no. Big deal, you tried, and they're probably going to get some value out of it too. So they might drive more people to their booth specifically. You don't know. And it's free for them to do. That's the thing. It's absolutely free for them to post on their social media or to put it in their weekly email blast or something. It's free. It's free for everybody. Don't forget to take advantage of it. Execution. Execution is a big one. We can make a strategy. We can do a structure. We can talk about branding. But at the end of the day, you have to execute on it, right? And change is tough. Nobody likes it. I certainly don't. But you have to just execute on that plan. And the best thing to do is start marketing about 90 days out from your event. Anything more, people really forget about it. And between 90 and 60 days, your goal really shouldn't be to sell tickets. It should really be to just increase awareness of the event. And then within that 60 to 0, the days leading up, you're trying to sell tickets, right? So it's kind of like a tiered ramping approach of create awareness. And then once you've created the awareness, you've kind of gathered all these people into your circle, then go execute on trying to convert them into a ticket buying customer or an event attendee, whatever it is. If you don't sell tickets, you just want people to show up. So, and make a timeline, right? Like on your calendar, write it out, map the whole thing. Here's when this needs to go live. Here's when this needs to go live. We're going to send this email on this date. We're doing these ads from this date to this date. The budget is this much for this month. And we're going to spend, $1,000 during this week. Like map it all out so you can visually see it. That's the most important thing. To execute this properly, you can't just wing it. You have to put it all out on a calendar so you can visually see what's going on with the marketing strategy. I hope this webinar has helped you with your marketing strategy for your booth-based event. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email, hello@getfusionsolutions.com. We'd absolutely be happy to help answer any of the marketing strategy questions you have for your booth-based event. Again, this is brought to you by Fusion. Fusion is the #1 booth-based event solution for the booth-based event industry. We really combine ticketing and registrations with RFID, lead capture, and cashless, booth sales, and interactive floor plans. We actually give you the interactive floor plans for free. So it is truly the all-encompassing, all-in-one white label solution, really the only solution you need to run any booth-based event, being an expo, trade show, fair, festival. If you've got booths, Fusion is the #1 solution for you. Again, if you have any questions, shoot us an email, hello@getfusionsolutions.com, or check out our website, www.getfusionsolutions.com. Thank you so much for watching this webinar on marketing strategy for your booth-based event. I really hope you got something from it, and we'll see you in the next webinar. Thanks so much.